Although Joe Biden supposedly claims the title of President of the United States and the White House despite the controversial nature of the 2020 election, I have some good news resulting to over towards the possibility of reforming the election to make it more transparent to prevent the issues of the 2020 election from actually happening again. Not just on the federal level, such as with HR 1 potentially being dead in the water. Don't worry, I will get into that soon. But also specifically within states, specifically the state of Georgia. Several days ago, the House of Representatives and the Senate of the state legislature of Georgia recently passed sweeping election reforms to, as I said before, prevent what happened within the 2020 election from occurring again. And thankfully, although he is still a rhino, Brian Kemp signed these laws into law. And now that this means that a whole a whole load of changes may potentially happen within the state. Here on the Epic Times, which I have on my phone right now, here's what it says about it. The 95-page law adds a slew of changes to the way Georgians vote, including requiring photo or state-approved identification to vote absentee by mail. The law also mandates that secure drop boxes be placed inside early voting locations with constant surveillance and expand early voting across the state. The law also shortens the election cycle from 9 weeks to 4 weeks and requires a minimum of 1 week of early voting before Election Day. People who wish to vote absentee are placed with new requirements as well. So that was one of the major things that has been, it's been plaguing a lot of several states due to the issues of the 2020 election, not just in Georgia but in Michigan and in Pennsylvania, Nevada, so on. This has become a major issue, and thanks to the fact that Sidney Powell, Lin Wood, Rudy Giuliani, Donald Trump, all those people have been presenting evidence about this has thankfully gotten the gears working in order to pass new legislation. Unfortunately, Donald Trump did not win this as he rightly should have. If again, the election was stolen because of these major issues. But hopefully, with these new laws in place, this could actually save the 2022 midterms as well as the 2024 presidential election. And I pray to God that Donald Trump runs again so that way he makes Joe Biden into a one-term president. Because let's face it, after the abysmal performance of his conference as well as a lot of the other goofs that he made, especially with what I said previously in my last video with him screwing up in domestic and in foreign affairs as well as tripping while going up the stairs to Air Force One 3 times consecutively. It's just surprising how he's still around at this point. But this does have some opposition to it, especially from the federal government, specifically the White House or the Department of Justice. Because within the same article, and don't worry, I will be linking the source within the description below, the Biden administration is looking at options to reverse or counter a newly enacted voting law in Georgia that brings in the sweeping number of election reforms to the state. President Joe Biden told reporters on Friday that the Justice Department and his administration are taking a look at the legislation, which he claims is an attack on the right to vote in the Peach State. We're working on that right now. We don't know quite exactly what we can do at this point. The Justice Department is taking a look as well. In the separate statement on Friday, Biden characterized the state's move to protect the sanctity of the ballot box as a blatant attack on the Constitution and good conscience. He also labeled the law as the Jim Crow of the 20th century, referring to Jim Crow laws that enforce racial segregation in the South. You have to admit the irony of the situation, especially since Joe Biden actually gave actually praised one of the senators who was with the Ku Klux Klan at his funeral. And he made an eulogy to a Klan member. And and he's making this complete hypocrisy. Anyway, Biden claims that some of the new measures, such as reducing the number of polling sites across the state, would disproportionately affect black neighborhoods without elaborating on the details of alleged discrimination. So, from what I understand, I mean, of course, Joe Biden is definitely going to try to get the Department of Justice into this, but they're going to try to defeat this thing. Because it's obvious that this is in response to what happened in 2020, and they want to continue to win elections. Hell, they're trying to do that, trying to stack the deck in their favor, especially within the Senate. But thankfully, this situation is not just happening in Georgia. This is happening across 43 different states. Already, over 250 new bills have been introduced and could potentially be voted on to reform elections when they're within their own respective states. I definitely hope so. And if this does happen within 2021 and 2022, the midterms would be saved. There would be obvious red wave, and if that happens, Joe Biden basically becomes a lame duck after 2 years of having a slight Democratic majority in both the House and the Senate, and also him supposedly having the White House, of course, and things that could also affect 2024 with the Republicans still having a chance of winning back the White House, as of course they have won back in 2020. But again, I need to continue on with this video. Again, I really hope that Donald Trump does run again. If he does, he will have the entire Republican Party behind his back. That's evident within the CPAC poll numbers. But as I said before, this is also having a little bit of opposition, and again in the form, not just in the form of the executive branch of the federal government, but with H.R. 1. Now, thankfully, this is another piece of good news, because while the House of Representatives have passed H.R. 1, it is currently stalled in the Senate and is potentially dead on arrival. Because there are two Democratic senators, that are very, let's just say, not really into supporting this bill, H.R. 1. Kyrsten Sinema of Arizona, and Senator Joe Manchin of West Virginia. Now, of course, Joe Manchin, considering that he's a moderate Democrat and he's part of a conservative state, he needs to keep his constituents happy, and that also includes with H.R. 1 not being passed through to the Senate. Plus, there's another reason that he's not liking the idea of H.R. 1 being passed. Same with Kyrsten Sinema. This bill basically ends the filibuster. This is basically helps stall the process of legislative procedures within the Senate, and if used correctly with the filibuster, could potentially kill these votes, or kill these bills on arrival. Considering that these are two Democratic senators, as well with Mitch McConnell, thankfully doing the right thing for once, it may look like that H.R. 1 is dead on arrival. Now, is that 100% guarantee? No. It's expected, but it's not for certain. And I really hope that this bill does die. If Kyrsten Sinema and Joe Manchin manage to stay on board with the Republicans, not bowing down to supporting H.R. 1, it's dead in the water. Although I do argue that even if H.R. 1 supposedly passes, this would actually go to the Supreme Court and would actually be unconstitutional, because it federalizes elections, despite the fact that the Supreme Court has ruled that, thanks to the Constitution, that elections and election reform are is a power granted to the states. And considering that, again, it would be unconstitutional. After all, this bill makes it a requirement to federally register everyone electronically. You don't use a social security number when you do that. This bill also, which is a major controversial provision within the bill itself, also forces states to give felons who are currently serving their sentence the right to vote. And I'm pretty sure a lot of Republican states do not like that idea. Not one bit. And here's the irony. They actually call this For the People Act. That's a really big irony. But as I stated before, if Kyrsten Sinema of Arizona and Joe Manchin of West Virginia manage to hold on for a bit, deciding to stay against H.R. 1, it's dead on arrival in the Senate. I really hope that's the case. And if that's the case, that would potentially buy the entire election enough time to readjust itself to try to fix the situation, so that way it doesn't give either party any significant advantage. Because let's face it, the 2020 election, we saw a lot of ballot stuffing, a lot of irregularities that have occurred in multiple states. Many of them happen to be with battleground states. That is no coincidence whatsoever. And it's no coincidence whatsoever that Joe Biden actually had less enthusiasm in most Democratic counties, except for, which happened to have 4 major cities: Atlanta, Milwaukee, Detroit, and Philadelphia. If this bill passes, it's game over for the Republicans. I'm willing to bet that the Democrats will be able to win if H.R. 1 passes. They will be able to win the executive branch and probably a good portion of Congress for the next 50 years. And that's me being very, very conservative. But it may not, but hopefully, and considering the situation and how a lot of news outlets feel, especially the Washington Post, over H.R. 1, it is expected to be dead on arrival. And with that, and as well with the state laws requiring changes within their own state borders as to how elections are performed and stuff, as a resulting reaction of the 2020 election, we may be able to fix what has happened. We will be able to fix our elections, and everything will be fine. Hopefully, just hopefully, it remains fair. It remains fair and balanced. I 100%. And that's why I hope. Sorry, I'm rambling on a lot, but I really, if these state laws are passed, then the Republicans still have a chance to win future elections. And by God, they need those new laws to be passed. My name is Noah Meehan on The Arc Truth. Please post your comments down below, like this video, subscribe, and share it for friends. Also, if you have any issues regarding the issues with my videos, such as how I speak or how I frame my videos or whatever, please post them down in the comment section down below or directly message me. Thank you.
Almost